Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Back Academy. The last video we have seen about the Mughal Empire basics. Let us continue from where we left. So, last time we have seen Bahadur Shah II. Bahadur Shah II is the last Mughal emperor. Okay, fine. So we have seen uh, all the Mughals, like starting from Babur, Akbar, and we have seen that Akbar is the greatest, and we have seen about Ibadat Khana. These are very important things. Battle of Panipat, 1526. These are like very landmark dates which everybody has to remember. So, and we have also seen later Mughals after Aurangzeb, 1707, after our death of Aurangzeb, all the other Mughals were more or less not very prominent. A few others, Farooq Siyar, Shah Alam, etc., etc., we will see again in advent of Europeans. So, in general, from the Mughal Empire point of view, they are not very important. But later on, during the advent of Europeans and the rise and consolidation of British Empire, etc., etc., they will also come into the picture. So now, if you observe here, briefly, now we have seen about everyone, Babur, Humayun, etc. Now let's see a brief of what are the important points in them, most important ones. So if you look at Babur, okay, let me put this. So if you look at Babur, the first battle of Panipat, okay, is very, very, very important, which is in 1526, which I have already mentioned many times. It is that important. That's the reason I mentioned it again and again. So he founded the Mughal dynasty. And 1526, Battle of Panipat, and Battle of Kanwa, Battle of Chanderi, Battle of Gagra. These are some of the battles which have been fought by. See, Babur is he is like he came from outside. He has just come to conquer the land. So obviously there is going to be a lot of battles, continuous battles, because he want to expand his empire and establish. So till then, Muhammad Ghori, Muhammad Ghazni, or Taimur, etc., etc., they've always come. They've destroyed the temples. They've looted the wealth, etc. They've taken the gold, and they would take some slaves, and they would go back. But Babur, when he came for the first time, at that time, as I already mentioned, it was the Lodi dynasty which was there. So Ibrahim Lodi is very important from the exam point of view. Ibrahim Lodi was the ruler, and his governor, in order to get rid of Ibrahim Lodi, he has invited Babur. So he has invited Babur with the idea that Babur would probably go back. But Babur settled down here and started the Mughal dynasty. So you have to remember those points, because these days such questions are being asked. It's not just one-liners. They're also asking questions based on some form of analysis. So if you have an idea of what is what, then you'll be able to better answer these questions. So I would suggest everyone to also read some textbook. So don't depend on these materials per se. Read some standard textbook. Anything is fine. You can go for R. Sharma, Ancient India by R. Sharma, or that is for Ancient India. You can go for Satish Chandra's Medieval India. There are several books, textbooks, and also you can go for a Spectrum or TMH, whatever books are there. Anything is fine, but read some textbook also. That is if you have time. But if the exam is very near, the exam is in a couple of months or in a month or so, then these compiled lectures along with the question and answer practice, that is more important. More than the lecture, we'll be following it up with a question and answer, multiple choice questions, say 100, 200 questions. To solve those questions, that is going to help more than the lecture itself. Anyway, so this here you can see some of the Mughal emperors. So these are Babur, Humayun, Sher Shah Suri, which I said the Suri dynasty is when Humayun lost the war of Kanauj in between. That for a period of around 15 years or so, Sher Shah Suri was the emperor. Then again, Humayun comes back with the help of his allied forces, and he takes back. And Bairam Khan is the regent of Akbar. So because Akbar at a young age of 13 years, he got the throne. His regent was his caretaker, you can say, is Bairam Khan. And after Akbar comes of age, he puts Bairam Khan aside and he takes the throne. He's followed by Jahangir. Noor Jahan is the wife of Jahangir. We have already seen that Noor Jahan, the Noor Jahan's name, etc., whatever it is there on more or less all the farmans and all the coins. So she is very important, and she is a wife of Jahangir, and then you have Shah Jahan, who is again a very important figure. And as I said, Jahangir is very famous for paintings. Okay, he was a very great patron of painting. So these points are important from the point of view of exam. So you have to remember Jahangir means painting, and Aurangzeb, for example, Aurangzeb means he introduced jizya on non-Muslims. And if you look at the Delhi Sultanate, you also see that Sikandar Lodi, and before that, you see. Who, Okay, fine. We'll see that when we see Delhi Sultanate. So there are Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Sorry. So when you say Firoz Shah Tughlaq, he imposed jizya on non-Muslims also. So you have to remember these names. These like there are only few who impose jizya on non-Muslims, and then you have Akbar on one hand, who is very tolerant of religions. He established the Ibadat Khana. That is one question which has been asked several times. In fact, when I first gave the UPSC prelims, I remember this question. I had just read it a couple of days before in the textbook, and it came in the exam. I felt very happy. So it's Ibadat Khana is one very important question that is frequently asked. So Akbar established this Ibadat Khana, which is basically like a religious get together, a place where scholars from all religions come together and they discuss these religious ideas. So it's a symbol of secularism. It's a symbol of unity among all religions. So from that point of view, it is very important. It is frequently asked in exams even today. So please remember that. So see this. So you have Humayun tomb, etc., etc. Agra Fort, Taj Mahal. So these are all very important. If you observe here, Taj Mahal, everyone knows it is built by Shah Jahan, and Humayun's tomb is built by Akbar because it's a tomb. After the death of Humayun, his son Akbar has built it. And Bibika Maqbara is only building famous for Aurangzeb. Okay, and Fatehpur Sikri is famous for Akbar. It was built by Akbar. So these things, when we solve multiple choice questions, like more number of questions, then you will be able to remember better. Fine. So let us go forward. So if we look at Humayun, these are the battles that have been fought by Humayun. So during the first phase, it's from 1530 to 1540. Then there is a break of 15 years, followed by the second phase. In this break, what we have is the Suri Empire, the Sher Shah Suri dynasty is called Sher Shah. So battles fought by Humayun is Battle of Debra, Battle of Chauza. Battle of Kanauj is important because it is in this Battle of Kanauj that Humayun loses the battle and goes to Central Persia, Iran, etc. And he stays there for 15 years, forms various alliances, and then comes back. And Battle of Sirhind, 1555. And if you go to Akbar, see, this is very important. Architecture under Akbar rule, Agra Fort, Fatehpur Sikri, you have just seen the picture, Allahabad Fort, Buland Darwaja, and Ibadat Khana. Ibadat Khana is very, very, very important. But even others, you have to remember, especially Fatehpur Sikri, Agra Fort, Allahabad Fort, and Buland Darwaja. This is Buland Darwaja. If it is by Alai Darwaja, it is by Alauddin Khilji. So these things you have to, especially if you look at the syllabus, it is mentioned art and architecture, social religious conditions. So art and architecture is one very important point of any history topic. So you have to, if it is from the mains point of view, you have to also remember about the building, what kind of material is used. For example, you talk about the arch and dome style. You talk about the influence of the Persia. You talk about red sandstone and marble and the techniques, the Petra Dura technique, how, etc., etc. We'll see later on. But from the prelims point of view, you have to remember all these things. Where is it? Where is it located, or who built it? Who sanctioned it, etc., etc. Let's move forward. So Jahangir, as I told, is famous for paintings. So there were many painters under his court, and you have to remember at least 2 to 3 of those names. It will come later on. But the most important thing is Captain Hawkins. Okay, so it was that period when the British were first entering into India. So we always say the British came to India in the early 1600s. So it was during the period of Jahangir. They first came, Captain Hawkins and Thomas Roe. They visited Jahangir's fort and they got a farman, which is a royal authority, saying that you can establish you can trade. And they established a factory at Surat. Okay, so these are all very important points. And also tobacco was introduced in India during the period of Jahangir. So these are very important. You have to remember. Okay, tobacco, Captain Hawkins, Thomas Roe they visited, and paintings. Jahangir is very famous for paintings, especially portrait paintings. Initially, if you look at ancient history, during Mauryas or etc., you see these huge mural paintings, wall paintings, etc. But here, during the Mughal period, you see these portrait paintings, which later on in the PDF you will see. It is famous for these portraits. So Shah Jahan, obviously everyone is aware about Taj Mahal, but you also have to remember Red Fort, Jama Masjid, and Moti Masjid. Okay, Aurangzeb is only famous for this Bibika Maqbara, which you have seen. The photo, it almost looks like Taj Mahal in some ways. So later Mughal emperors, you can see there are so many: Bahadur Shah, Jahandar Shah, and Farooq Siyar is sometimes you frequently get his name in questions. So Farooq Siyar is slightly important. He abolished jizya completely, and he also persecuted uh, Sikh Guru Tej Bahadur Singh. So that is one important question frequently asked. And Rafiz ud Dawla ruled for the shortest period. So these are all later Mughals are not that important. Once in a while, if there is any important point, you can remember. And you can see here Muhammad Shah Rangila and autonomous states. See, as the Mughal Empire is declining, you can see that the provinces, the governors, they start asserting their independence. Whenever they sense a certain weakness in the central administration, they start saying that, okay, we are independent. They try to get their own dynasty going. So several Deccan powers start to become more prominent during the later Mughals. Alamgir too, you see, a Battle of Plassey was fought. Battle of Plassey is again one important battle. Okay, just like how Battle of Panipat 1526 very important. Battle of Plassey is also very important, which will come later on. And Shah Alam too. Okay, during his reign, the third Battle of Panipat. So there are three battles of Panipat. Battle of Panipat 1, 2, 3. One is in 1526, 2 is in 1556, and 3 is we'll see. That's also important. So, and Battle of Buxar is also very important. If I'm not wrong, 1764. So these dates are also important. Especially you get questions like on the left hand side they will give you the battle, on the right hand side they will give you the year, and they might say match. So even if such questions are not asked, only if you have these basics clear, you will be able to eliminate some options. Suppose 4 to 5 options are given, and somewhere if you know these one-liner questions well, you will be able to identify some mistake and be able to eliminate that option. So either way, you should not think like, okay, these kind of questions are not being asked these days, but whatever question is asked, if you are good with your basics, you will be able to answer those questions well. Okay. Okay. Then Bahadur Shah was the last Mughal emperor, as we have seen during the revolt of 1858, 1857, and later on 1858 when the revolt was suppressed. Bahadur Shah was the last Mughal emperor, and he was captured and sent to Rangoon, which is in current day Myanmar. He was already 80 plus years at that age. So we've already seen the Mughal family tree, the Humayun, Akbar, Jahangir, Babur, etc., and what kind of iconic buildings they have built. So now let us look at administration. So political history is important, definitely, but more than political history is the family lines like Akbar, Babur, Humayun, etc., what they have done, what battles they have fought, etc., and any contribution which they have made. But more important than that is the administration and art and architecture and culture, position of women, etc. So when you study history, you have to study from this point of view. So administration is one topic which is very important for any history topic. The administration under the Mughal Empire, you can see that the empire was divided into many provinces, okay, which are called subas, and these subas are headed by subedar. So you have to important that the whole province, the whole empire is divided into provinces which are more like states. If you compare with today's administration, they are like states, and states are further divided into districts. Districts are further divided into villages, etc. So roughly speaking, subas are like states. So you have to remember it from the exam point of view, because this is one topic, you have several other topics. For example, if you go to some other dynasty, they may have nadus, they may have Pattams, and they may have Vishayas, Vishapati. If you go to the Rashtrakutas, they may have Rashtra, Rashtrapati, Vishaya, Vishapati, Gramika, etc., etc. So different dynasties have different administrative setup. So you have to remember all those things, and most of them are similar. You have Grama as a similar, it's a village unit more or less for all the dynasties. But in case of Mughals, it is Suba. Okay, the area is divided into Suba, and it is headed by a Subadar. So each Suba was further divided into districts, which are called Sarkars. Okay, each Sarkar was divided into Talukas, which are called Parganas. Parganas, and were under the control of Sheikhdar. So these points you have to remember: Suba, Taluka, and Talukas are also called as Parganas, and they are under the control of Sheikhdar. Okay, each Pargana was further divided into villages. Okay, which were under Muqaddam. So these are individual points which you have to remember from the exam point of view. Questions can be asked based on the administration. So if you look at the causes for the decline of the Mughal Empire, as you can see, after the death of Aurangzeb, even during the period of Aurangzeb, the strict rule, he was a very orthodox Muslim and he was very strict. So he wanted to implement the Sharia law, but the majority of the people are Hindus. So even because of his strict religious policy and his non-tolerance, he was already unpopular among the masses. And see, you can see this. Many regional powers, when there is a weak rule at the center, obviously the regional powers start to assert their independence. So that is one reason. You can see the Sikhs, the Marathas, and the Jats. The Marathas, especially during the period of Aurangzeb had a frequent clash with Shivaji Maharaj. So it was the period when the Marathas were under ascendancy. So after the Mughal Empire, for a brief period, the Marathas occupied more or less all the part of India. When we discuss about Marathas, we look into it. So just like how the Mughal Empire had occupied all of India, more or less, except small portions, immediately after Mughal Empire, the Maratha Empire also was a very large empire, but for a short period of time. And later on, it was under the control of the British. Anyway, so the religious policy of Aurangzeb also played an important role because he was very religiously very strict, non-tolerant, so he was not popular with the masses. So Mughals, after the death of Aurangzeb, there was a wars of succession. Whenever there is a war, dynasty becomes weak. These are some of the reasons for the Mughal Empire. And also, the 1857 revolt, okay, is when the Mughal dynasty has been wiped out completely. So you can say decline of the Mughals started during the Aurangzeb period, and after Aurangzeb, again, when there is the invasion of Nadir Shah, at that time it became very big, and by the time the Marathas rose to power, the Mughal Empire was like a small dot. If you look at the map, only in the northern India there was a small area left for the Mughals, and by 1857 it was completely wiped out. The British had taken control. The East India Company ceased to exist, and the British Crown had taken complete control of the Indian territory. So by that time, it was over. The Mughal Empire was completely wiped out. So we have seen the Supai Mutni, and Bahadur Shah was the last Mughal emperor. And you can also see he was already 80 plus at that time during the revolt, and he was sent to Rangoon, which is in Myanmar, today's Myanmar. And he had died in the prison. So we'll be looking at various facets of the Mughal Empire. So we've seen the administration, how it is divided into Subas and Parganas, Talukas, Subedar, etc., Muqaddam villages. So now, if you look at the economic and social life, most foreign accounts they give they say it was a wealthy empire, but there was also poverty, and some people talk about religious tolerance of Akbar, and other accounts talk about the non-religious, strict religious policy followed by Aurangzeb, etc. So the socio-economic conditions are mentioned by many European travelers and traders. As we have seen that traveling and trade was well established even during the ancient period also. So several foreign visitors frequently visit India, and their accounts are also equally important. Starting from Fahin, Megasthenes, Huinsang, etc. during the ancient period. Then you have in the medieval period, you have Barbosa, Domingo Pais, Al-Biruni, you have Abdul Razak, etc. During the Tughlaq period, you have Abdul Razak. And then here you have Badauni, Al-Biruni, etc. All their observations are very important. So you have to remember it in a timeline. in the ancient period who had come, during Harsha Empire who had come, during Maurya Empire who had come, during Vijayanagara Kingdom who had come. So if you remember it in a structured way, it will be very easy to remember. And it's a very standard question frequently asked in the mains also. So it's very important from that point of view. So most accounts describe the wealth and prosperity, and also they also give an account about poverty and suffering of the ordinary people. So always there is a rich class which is very wealthy, and there is a poverty. If you talk about the nobility, see during the Delhi Sultanate, we have seen that the Tughlaqs, starting from the slave dynasty, the Mamluk dynasty, the Tughlaqs, the Khilji dynasty, except the Lodi dynasty, everyone is of Turkish origin. So everyone is of Turkish origin. Only the Lodi dynasty is from Afghan origin. When you come to Mughal, by the time you reach Mughals, it's a mix. There is a mix of Turkish, Afghan, and there is a Indian Muslims have also become a well-established community by then. So it contains everyone, and also it contains the Indian Rajput princes also. If you look at Raja Birbal and if you look at Raja Todarmal, they are all Hindus, practicing Hindus. So the Mughal nobility consisted of people from various religions, various locations, etc. So if you look here, the nobles and most of them were foreigners. They were Turks and Afghans. Okay, in the in the Delhi Sultanate, most of them were from Turkish origin. If you look at Iltutmish, he formed 40 Turkish nobles called as Chahalgani, which is very important, frequently asked. So everyone is Turkish except the last Lodi dynasty. Here in Mughal period, they were mix of Afghan and Turk and of Indian Muslims also. So the Mughal nobles were paid very high salaries, and they were supposed to maintain their section of the army from their salaries. And you have the Mansabdari system, etc. And each noble had a large number of servants, horses. So they lived a very lavish life. And wealthy people dressed in silk and cotton. And this is important. Nikitin, one of the foreign travelers, Nikitin. So any foreign traveler, you have to remember the names. He mentions that the people in the Deccan were barefooted, okay, indicating the high cost of leather. Okay, and the common people food was pulses, millets, and rice, etc. And you also during the Mughal period, what new crops are you'll have, it will come somewhere like tobacco is introduced during the period of Jahangir, and whatever new crops are introduced during that particular period, you have to remember those things also. Okay, in coastal region, fish was common, and milk and milk products were there. India has always had a surplus of milk and milk products. Next. So this is one important thing. It is frequently asked. Remember this Mir Bakshi. Okay, Mir Bakshi is very very important. He's the head of the administration of armed forces. Okay, it is frequently asked. He's the head of the armed forces. He's commander. Like just like how you have Diwan. Diwan is the prime minister or chief of finances, etc. So like that, when it comes to military, you have the Mir Bakshi. So Mir Bakshi is not just about going into the field and fighting. He also looks after the administration of the army, planning, strategy, etc. So if you look at the Bakshis, okay, they are the actually who go to combat, who actually go to the war and fight. So Mir Bakshi also goes to the war, but he's the head. And you have the Subedar, which we have already seen, is like district level governors. We've seen that the province is divided into Subas, and Subas are headed by Subedar. Okay, only from the royal family, people, princes like that. So it's like equal to today's governor. So each state has a governor, right? But governors today are ceremonial in nature. Governor's position is ceremonial. In this case, Subedar has the powers. He has the power of administration of that particular province. And we have the Mansabdari system. Okay, Mansabdars. They are the actual. They hold and horses, foot soldiers, everything. It's we'll look into in depth about Mansabdari system later on. And Jagirdars. Jagirdars is again is a landlords who are paid lands instead of cash. For example, you are an officer and you are given a Jagir. Jagir is a piece of land, a large area, a couple of villages together. So, excuse me. Sorry. So you are a Jagirdar. If a land a Jagir is assigned to you, then you are a Jagirdar. Similarly, during the Delhi Sultanate, you have Ikta and Iqtadar. So Ikta is the land. And if that land is assigned to you, you are the Iqtadar. In this case, you are the Jagirdar. So you have to remember the differences between Iqtadar and Jagirdar, which will come later on, of course. So if you look at agriculture, Okay, agriculture was always very prominent in this part of the world because of fertile lands and lot of rivers. And more or less, all the dynasties, all the emperors gave very high importance to agriculture. So large variety of crops have been grown such as barley, gram, pulses, rice, wheat, etc. And commercial crops are also grown: indigo, oil seeds, cotton, sugarcane. So just keep in mind and see, this is very important. During the 17th century, two new crops have been added. That is tobacco and maize. And tobacco, I already said, it came during the period of Jahangir. Okay, but no new agriculture technique was introduced during this period. Okay, and we were also able to export food items like rice and sugar, etc. So trade has always been a important part of any empire. Any empire, if it needs to flourish, it needs to be wealthy, then it should have a good trade. And here, if you look, there are several names. Even today, you can see Seth and Bora are long distance traders. Baniks are local traders. Banjaras, even today in Telangana region, you see Banjara a lot. They specialize in carrying bulk goods on donkeys, oxen, etc. Okay, so rivers are also used to travel. So in way, inland travel is also there. The merchants, Gujarati merchants, they include both Hindus, Jains, and Muslims. And these Oswals, Maheshwaris, even today you can see that. And Agarwals, they came to be known as Marwadis. And South India, if you see, South India Chettis, even now you see these common names, Chetty, Chettiar, etc. And in Kerala, even you can see that in many movies, the Muslim merchants of Malabar are also very famous. And Bengal exported sugar, rice, as well as delicate muslin and silk. Fine. So you can also see major imports. Okay, major imports are tin and copper, war horses. See, horses are very important for any empire, but horses are not indigenous to India. We've always imported horses from uh, Arabia, Arabic Peninsula, etc. Even during the Indus Valley civilization, which is the first known civilization of this part, horse bones were found in only one area, if I'm not wrong, Sukta Jandor. So horses were there, but they have always been imported from Arabic Peninsula, especially the huge, highly branded horses, war horses. These what you say, Arabic horses are very famous. They're very huge and they can run very fast. And those horses are very well sought after. So always we used to import horses, luxury items such as ivory and also gold. We used to have a lot of trade contact with the Romans, and Roman gold was one of the major import. And wine, luxury items like wine, and in some dynasties there is slavery also. Wherever there is slavery, so these are some of the aspects which we import. And what we export usually is spices and rice, agricultural products, etc., and textiles. These are some of the major exports which we do. So as you can see, the growth of foreign trade resulted in the increased import of gold and silver. So because of trade, we had we get a good amount of gold. We have gold fields also, Kolar gold fields, etc. Even during Indus Valley civilization time. But always gold we used to import from other areas. So if you talk about culture, also as I have already told, they have had they are good patrons. The Mughals were good patrons of architecture. We have seen so many buildings: the Agra Fort, Fatehpur Sikri, Taj Mahal, etc. Painting is also quite famous. Music, literature, everything is famous. Okay, painting I already mentioned, which we'll see some pictures later on. And they brought Turco-Iranian culture. As you can see, even in architecture, there is a blend of Persian and Indian culture. You can see the arch and dome, which is from Persia, and you can see that some construction of you see in Taj Mahal also. You see bells here and there. In Qutub Minar, you see bells, etc. So there is a fusion of Indo and Persian architecture. Even in music, medicine, in several fields, there is a fusion of culture between the Indian culture and the Persian culture. By the way, Persian was because we are talking about literature, Persian was the court language of most of the Mughals. Okay, and most of the literature was in Persian, but at the same time, due to the Bhakti and Sufi movement also, which took place around the same period, there was a improvement in the local languages also. So rich literature started coming in languages like Telugu, Tamil, Kannada. Tamil was there right from the before. Gujarati. Punjabi, Bengali, etc. These local languages also saw a revival during the Bhakti period, Bhakti and the Sufi period. So let us look at some of the art and architecture. As you can see, so during the Mughal, you also hear about the Mughal gardens. So they're very famous for gardens with running water. You can see even in the presidential building, there are the Mughal gardens, etc. The Shalimar Bagh, Pinjore Garden in Punjab, Nishant Bagh in Kashmir, etc. During the reign of Sher Shah, the mausoleum at Sasaram in Bihar and the Purana Killa near Delhi were built. So you have to remember these things. And then large scale construction of buildings started under Akbar. So we've already seen Akbar he built the Fatehpur Sikri, Buland Darwaja, several forts, etc. So you have to remember all those things. And large scale construction of buildings started during the period of Akbar. And then we have seen the Agra fort, etc. And red sandstone is the commonly used. Later on, marble was also used, but mostly Mughal architecture used red sandstone. So you have to remember that. And other forts are at Lahore, Allahabad. And Shah Jahan is very famous for Taj Mahal. Apart from Taj Mahal, is also famous for the Red Fort, Rang Mahal, Diwani Am, and Diwani Kasbas. Okay. So Fatehpur Sikri is again built by Akbar, which is to commemorate his conquest of Gujarat. He had a successful battle at Gujarat, and after conquering it, he built Fatehpur Sikri to commemorate that. So many buildings in Gujarati and Bengali styles are also found because Akbar had he married Rajput princess also. So for his Hindu wives, he did build some of the Hindu style of buildings. You can see here the Gujarati style buildings were probably built for his Rajput wives. Okay, and also Jama Masjid, okay, is very famous, and the Buland Darwaza is also very famous. Okay, so you have to remember all these things: who built what, and where it is located, what it is famous for, etc. Okay. So Fatehpur Sikri, we have seen it has been built by Akbar, and also Jodha, who's the princess, one of the princes of Akbar, Jodhabai, and Panch Mahal with 5 stories. Okay, and also Humayun is the father of Akbar. So after the death of Humayun, he built a Humayun tomb, which was built at Delhi, and it has a massive dome of marble. Okay, so marble was also prominently used in Mughal buildings, and it may be considered as the precursor to Taj Mahal. And Taj Mahal is completely made of white marble. And Akbar's tomb at Sikandra was built by Jahangir. Obviously, Jahangir is the son of Akbar. So after the death of Akbar, Akbar's tomb was built at Sikandra near Agra. And you also remember the capitals. Sometimes the capital was Agra, sometimes it was Lahore, sometimes it was Delhi. We have seen in the starting of the video. So during Akbar period, the capital was in Agra. And Noor Jahan, who is the wife of Jahangir, she built the tomb of Itimad Dawla at Agra. Okay, it was constructed wholly of white marble, floral designs, and this Pitra Dura technique is you see mostly in Taj Mahal also. Put some photos also. You have the marble. In the marble, they cut a design, floral design, and fill it with some precious stones. Okay. So Taj Mahal is one thing which is very famous. You have the Pitra Dura technique, which was used in large scale in Taj Mahal, and all these are you can just go to. Everyone knows about Taj Mahal, and the Moti Masjid at Agra was built entirely in white marble. Okay, and the Jama Masjid was also built in red stone. So these are all mostly built by Shah Jahan. Okay, so if you look at the Mughal art and architecture, here you can see this is the Petra Dura technique, and you can see how it's very richly engraved. Okay, you have rich floral designs engraved within the base material. And here you can see a lot of Humayun tomb. This is Fatehpur Sikri, and this is that Fatehpur Sikri Buland Darwaja. This is the Taj Mahal, and you have the Bibi Ka Maqbara, etc., etc. You have the Mughal gardens. See, always there is a huge garden, and in between there is a running water. So these are some of the famous Mughal architecture. The Red Fort. So Taj Mahal is also very important, and this is what I'm talking about, the Petra Dura technique. Basically, you have marble, and they cut out and fill it with precious stones, floral design. You can see these Quran verses from Quran are also ingrained on the walls. So Taj Mahal, everyone is aware. So you will have to, if you are writing in the mains, the question is asked about Taj Mahal. You have to mention about these minarets, how it contains four minarets, and about the dome shape, the Persian influence, the verses from Quran are engraved, and the Petra Dora technique, etc., etc. It is on a raised platform, and you can go through all these things. So based on these things, you will have to uh, write an answer, a paragraph. So paintings and music, which I've already mentioned, Jahangir is a big patron of painting. And see, Mughal paintings reached its climax during the reign of Jahangir, and he employed a number of painters like Abul Hasan, Bishan Das, okay, Anant, Madhu, Manohar, Ustad Mansur. Some of these names it's better if you can remember. And both Hindus and Muslims joined this work, everything. And you can just go through all these things. And you see Mahabharata and Ramayana, they were produced in miniature form. And also, they were translated into from the Sanskrit. They have been translated into Persian also, and you can see Humayun. The foundation for the Mughal painting was laid by Humayun. A question can be asked like that because everyone will think Jahangir. If you say who laid the foundation for Mughal painting, most people will put Jahangir. But if we are asking about the foundation, then it comes under Humayun, and he brought with him two painters, Mir Sayyid Ali and Abdul Samad. Okay, questions can be asked like that. So you can just go through all these points. Okay. So this is what I was speaking about. The portrait paintings. You see, this is it contains a complete court procedure, and this is a complete portrait of one of the queen. Perhaps I don't know. It is Noor Jahan or someone, and this is of perhaps Jahangir. So these are the paintings, famous Mughal paintings, very bright, very rich in colors. And Jahangir was such a patron that he could see the painting and literally say who drew it. He can look at the painting and say who's the painter. So he's such a patron of painting. Okay. So music is also well developed, and Tansen is very famous singer. Tansen of Gwalior. He's in Akbar's court, and it is usually said that such a singer was not there 1,000 years before or 1,000 years after. He's such a great singer, very famous. And even Jahangir and Shah Jahan were also very fond of music. And you had several instruments, new instruments like the rabab, etc., etc. It's a mix of Indo-Persian. So language and literature also you have to remember some of these names. And as I said, Persian was the court language. And see, Aini Akbari, okay, Aini Akbari, we've already discussed Babur Nama, Akbar Nama, Tariki Jahangari, etc., etc. Some of this. And Aini Akbari is very famous. It is authored by Abul Fazl. So it is very important. Aini Akbari which describes about the conditions of during the Akbar rule, and it is written by Abul Fazl. So this thing you have to remember; it's very important. Even in mains questions, if you're writing about anything about Akbar's rule, you can literally write it is mentioned in Aini Akbari because most of the information came from Aini Akbari. So it is very important. So the leading poet was Abul Fazl, okay, and Mahabharata and Ramayana were also translated into Persian language during this period. And Utbi and Naziri are two other leading Persian poets. Okay, so Jahangir's autobiography is very important again. Suzuki Jahangiri. Okay, Babur's autobiography is Baburnama, and you have Akbarnama, and Shah Jahan you have Padshanama. So you have to remember all these works. And when it comes to Jahangir, it is Suzuki Jahangiri. And also there is one work by Inayat Khan, and you will find it as we practice the previous year questions. You will see all these names. These are all very important. What are the books written by whom is very important. He also patronized many scholars like Iyas Beg, Nakib Khan, Niyamatullah, etc. So Shah Jahan also patronized many writers like Abdul Hamid Lahori. Okay. Abdul Hamid Lahori is the author of Padsha Nama. Okay. Abdul Hamid Lahori is the author of Padsha Nama, and Inayat Khan is also one of the famous during the Shah Jahan period. Nama and Inayat Khan, who wrote Shah Jahan Nama. Okay. Fine. So Dara Shikoh, okay, is the elder son of Shah Jahan. He was killed by Aurangzeb, and Aurangzeb becomes the emperor. So he translated the Bhagavad Gita and Upanishads into the Persian language. Okay, regional language such as Bengali, Oriya, Rajasthan, Gujarati, etc. also developed. So as we've seen, many works like Ramayana, Mahabharata, etc. have been translated into regional languages. Okay, the most influential Hindi poet was Tulsidas. Tulsidas' Ramcharitamanas was quite famous. It is frequently asked. Okay, so wait. So Mansabdari system is also very, very important, especially from the Mughal administration point of view. So it's frequently asked, be it the Mughal revenue system is frequently asked. If we go to the revenue system, you have these types of lands, Paraj, Polaj, Parauti, Chachar, Banjar, etc. And you have the type of systems like Galla Bakshi, Nasak, Kankut, etc. etc. Those are all very important. But when it comes to the military administration, the Mansabdari system is very, very important, and it is frequently asked in mains. Even in the prelims, it is frequently asked. So let us look at in depth of what is the Mansabdari system. So if you look at the Mansabdari system, okay, it's a system of administration, especially military. Okay, the military administration, and it was introduced by Akbar. It is not indigenous to India. It is a Central Asian Persian practice. You can say it came from outside. So under the Mansabdari system, each official was assigned a rank called Mansab. Okay, Mansab. Each official is assigned a rank called Mansab, which determines their authority, responsibility, and remuneration. Okay, and the ranks vary from 10 to 5,000. Okay, so beyond 5,000 is for only royal princes. So there are ranks of 7,000, 10,000 also, but that is only for the royal princes, say the brother or wife's brother, etc., etc. Only if you are from royal blood, you can get above 5,000. And even the 5,000 was for assigned only for the nobles. So princes of royal blood received even higher ranks. Okay, and this is very important. Jat and Savar. Okay, the ranks were divided into Jat and Savar. Now, Jat means personal rank. Okay, Jat is the personal rank, and Savar indicated the number of cavalrymen. Cavalrymen is through horses. When you say infantry, it is the foot soldiers. Okay, and then you have the elephant corps, etc., etc. Cavalry is the horsemen. Okay, the group led by the horses, etc. So, Savar indicates the number of cavalrymen a person was required to maintain, and Jat is the personal rank. So these two are very important. Okay, every official is given a rank which is a Mansab. Okay, he was assigned a rank Mansab. So and then there are two things called Jat and Savar. Jat is the individual rank, and Savar is the number of cavalrymen he has to have. Okay, every Savar had to maintain at least 2 horses. Okay, and all appointments, promotions, dismissals are directly made by the emperor. So these things you are basics you have to remember is Mansab and Jat and Savar. Now, if you look at the salary of the Mansabdar, salary was based on the ranks. Okay, the higher the rank, the higher the. So if you receive payments through Jagirs, which is a piece of land, okay, through land, then you are called Jagirdar Mansabdar. But if you receive payment through cash, then you are called Nakdi Mansabdar. Okay, remember these two things. If you receive land, then you are called Jagirdar Mansabdar. If you receive cash, you are called Nagdi Mansabdar. And the post of Mansabdar was not hereditary. So if you are a Mansabdar, doesn't mean that your son will also become a Mansabdar. Okay, so it is based on merit. So how they're recruited is they're recruited from all races, all religions, etc. It is completely based on merit. So a person who wishes to join the royal service, he has first make a petition, tajweez to the emperor, and based on the petition presented by the nobleman, he is recruited as a Mansabdar. So it is purely based on merit. If he was suitable, a proper rank would be given. If he is of higher, is a noble, then he gets a higher rank, 5,000, etc. If he is a common man and based on his merit, he gets between 10 to 5,000. Okay, higher are given to princes and Rajputs. Okay. So Rajputs frequently serve under Mughals. You see Raja Birbal or Raja Todarmal, Raja Mansingh, etc., etc. So Mughals recruited Hindu Rajputs also. So as we have already seen, Mansab is a rank which a military officer holds, and higher the Mansab, higher the salary, higher the status. Okay. In administrative records, there were 66, but in practice, there were only 33 Mansabs. Okay. And Jat and Savar is very important. See. So Mansab is the rank given to the officer. And you see, a Mansabdar might have a 5,000 Jat and 2,000 Savar. So 5,000 Jat means he is very highly placed. He's a very high official. He's a noble. So his individual rank is more important. For example, if his individual rank is 5,000 and his Savar is 2,000, but there is another person whose individual rank is 2,000, but his Savar is 3,000. But even then, this person who has the individual Jat of 5,000 is more superior. So the individual rank is more superior. Okay, so Jat denotes the rank in the administration. It also denotes the salary. And Savar is the number of cavalrymen he has to maintain. Okay, remember Jat is the individual rank and Savar is the number of cavalrymen he has to maintain. Okay, and see here it is mentioned. Even if the Savar rank was higher, okay, the Mansabdar position in the official hierarchy would not be affected. It is the Jat that decides. Okay, if you have a higher Jat rank, then same example is given. If he is having 5,000 Jat and 2,000 Savar, he is still higher than a person who has Savar of 3,000, but his Jat is 4,000. Okay, so Jat is what decides his overall rank in the array. So the Mansabdar responsibility, if you see, he was required to maintain a specified number of cavalrymen. He was required to maintain a specific number of horses, and he had to bring his cavalrymen for review. Okay, and this review has started mainly during the period of Alauddin Khilji. If you observe the Dag, that is the branding of horses, and Chahra, which is the noting down of the face. I mean the individual details of the soldiers, so that you don't say like you have 10 horses, but you bring those 10 horses again and again, and they become 100 horses. So you bring them a couple of times, the same horse, then you say, okay, I'm maintaining 100 horses. No, because if you have a Savar of so-and-so, you have to maintain so-and-so horses. So each horse is branded. When you brand a horse, you cannot repeat the horse. Okay, so you have to maintain, if you're supposed to maintain 100 horses, then you have to maintain 100 horses. Next. Amirs are those Mansabdars whose rank was above 1,000. Okay, those Mansabdar whose rank was 1,000 or below, was called Amir. And great Amir are those above 1,000 were called Amir al-Kabir. And some great Amirs whose rank was above 5,000, they were given the title of Amir al-Umara. Okay, that is a hierarchy within the Mansabdars. Next. So we've already seen that these Jagirdars, the land was not hereditary. As long as you are serving, you have the land. And if you're transferred to somewhere else, you might still have your Jagir in this place, or you might have a Jagir in some other place. So it's not that fixed property which you have. As long as you are serving, you are there. And you need not necessarily stay there. If you see during the period of Delhi Sultanate, the Ikta and Iqtadar, if you are a Iqtadar, you stay in that place. But if you are a Jagirdar, you need not stay in the place. You can stay somewhere else and still be a Jagirdar of some places. So it's a Central Asian institution. Okay, it came into along with the Mughals, it had come, and during the regime of Akbar, it became very popular. So if you look at the differences between the Iqtadari and Mansabdari, the Iqtadari was used by the Delhi Sultanate, and the Mansabdari was used by Mughal rulers. Very important. While Iqtidari system was in force, the whole land of the empire was divided into two parts. One belonged to the Iqtidar and the other which belonged to the emperor. Okay, so the Iqtidar land belonged to the Iqtidar. It's not in the control of the emperor. But in Mughal system, everything was under emperor. Yeah, the emperor is the sole authority of all land, but the Jagirs are assigned to the Jagirdars. So that's why it is not a hereditary right. Okay, in Jagirdari, whole land belonged to the emperor. Iqtadar was the officer in charge of the revenue collection and distribution. Jagirdar only had law and order responsibility. Okay, Iqtadar had both collection of revenue and law and order. Jagirdar had law and order responsibility in addition to revenue collection. Okay, so Jagirdar had law and order as an extra responsibility. Most of the mukti stayed in the Iktas. Okay, Iqtadar means you literally stay there. You are the Iqtadar because that land you stay there, you take around. But Jagirdar can be anywhere. That Jagir is assigned to you, but you are anywhere. Okay, it's fine. So let us look. So the fall of the Mansabdari system, as you can see, any system, initially it will be good, then there is a increase, then there is a decline. So in Akbar's reign, the system worked very well. The revenue collected by the Mansabdar from his jagirs, etc., was transferred to the emperor. Okay. In the initial days, they were carefully assessed. Okay. Later on, it was not so. And in the later stage, there was a shortage of jagirs. Obviously, you start assigning land to everyone, and the number of officers increase. So there is a shortage of land. Okay, the size of jagirs also started to shrink. Obviously, when you have little land, the land is fixed, but the number of people are increasing. So the size of the land start to shrink. So in the Aurangzeb era, the revenue collected by the Mansabdars was not enough. Okay, because the land size is shrinking, the revenue is reducing. It was not enough to cover the needs of the Jagirdars. So these are some of the terms which are not very important, but you can just see. Mashrut is a conditional rank, which is increase in rank for a short period of the Savar rank. Tajweez is the petition given by the nobleman to the emperor recommending an application, which we have already seen. And Duaspa, Siaspa, they were features added later to the Mansabdari system by Jahangir. Okay, whereby selected nobles could be allowed to maintain a larger quota of troopers without raising their jat rank. So the system was popular as Duaspa, a trooper with 2 horses. Siaspa means a trooper with 3 horses, etc., etc. So without increasing your personal rank, you can increase the number of horses. So this is the last slide for this PDF. So let us look at the summary. Till now we have seen what is Mansabdari system. So let us look at a brief. Okay, it was a grading system used by the Mughal rulers to fix the rank and salary. You have the Mansabdar and you have the Mansab, which is the rank, and Jat is the individual rank, and Savar is the number of cavalrymen which you have to have. There were nobles who acted as military commanders, civil and military officers, provincial governors, etc. So Mansabdars, it covered all the facets of the administration. There was no distinction between the civil and military departments. Okay, both civil and military officers held mansabs and were liable to be transferred from one branch to other. So these points are important from the point of view of exam, because these days, more and more questions are being asked based on analysis. More than one-liners, they are asking questions. So a question can be asked like this. So the Mansabdari system only dealt with the military. Okay, if a statement is there, out of the 3-4 statements, if one statement says the Mansabdari system is only related to the military administration, then you can eliminate that statement. You have to identify that it is wrong and you have to eliminate. The rank of a Mansabdar was determined by the number of horses and cavalrymen he maintained. Okay. So fine. So that is the end of Mughal Empire. So this is the brief of Mughal Empire which we have seen. But as I said already, this session will be ending this session now. This session will be followed by the question and answer, the previous year questions and multiple choice questions. So please go through that video also. And that is more important. After you've read about the topic, do as many questions as possible. We'll be covering more than 100, 200, as many as possible, as many wherever I find the questions, I'll try to compile it and put it together. And those questions, don't look at whether will this question be asked in the exam. Are these type of questions being asked these days? No, please don't look like that. Only if you know the basics. If you know 2 plus 2 is 4, then only you can go for 24 into 24. So you have to have the basics strong. So please go through that video also. Thank you for watching. Thank you.